Welcome to AGPP Global Partner Training Program. In this module, we discuss the engine that drives both our growth and yours. Welcome to this module. Our goal here is simple: to give you the confidence and clarity you need to navigate the complex world of healthcare, IT, and security. In healthcare, selling technology is never just about features. It's about proving that what you offer is safe, reliable, and fully compliant. Your customers operate in one of the most regulated environments in the world, so every claim you make must stand on a foundation of trust and technical credibility. Whether you're speaking with a small diagnostic center or a large multi-facility hospital network, the expectations are the same. They want to know their data is protected. They want to know their workflows won't break. And they want to know you understand the compliance pressures they face every single day. As we reach the final barriers to the sale, this module prepares you to address the most critical challenges that healthcare buyers raise at the decision stage. These are the moments where conversations shift from interest to evaluation, where customers scrutinize security, compliance, integration, and long-term risk. By applying the principles you've learned, you'll be ready to neutralize last-minute doubts, differentiate your solution from competitors, and respond with clear, confident, technically grounded answers. Whether it's a question about data protection, regulatory alignment, or system compatibility, you'll have the framework to turn hesitation into trust and turn trust into a yes. Traditional consulting in healthcare compliance follows a flow that has barely evolved in the last 2 decades, and that's exactly where the problem begins. The process starts with a consultant arriving on site, interviewing staff, reviewing physical documents, and gathering evidence scattered across emails, local drives, and departmental folders. This process is slow, heavily dependent on individual availability, and full of back-and-forth coordination. And because consultants are external, teams often scramble to piece together missing information at the last minute, creating stress, inefficiency, and risk. Once the consultant compiles everything, they produce what they consider the final deliverable, usually a report, binder, or PDF summarizing gaps and recommendations. But here's the inconvenient truth. The moment that report is delivered, it begins aging. Standards evolve, corrective actions change, workflows shift, and regulatory expectations get updated, making the document less useful with each passing week. The consultant leaves, but the responsibility of maintaining compliance falls back on internal teams who often don't have the time, tools, or visibility required to keep things updated daily. This creates a cycle of dependency. Every year, organizations pay again to repeat the exact same process. The consulting model is structured for short-term value, not long-term capability. It delivers information, not infrastructure. And because the process is manual, disconnected, and document-heavy, it opens the door to errors, outdated materials, misplaced evidence, and high audit vulnerability. Ultimately, manual consulting is an unpredictable cost center, a temporary fix, and a model that forces healthcare facilities to restart from zero every year rather than building continuous compliance maturity. AGPP disrupts this outdated model by converting compliance from a one-time manual effort into a continuous, intelligent, technology-driven system. Instead of relying on consultants to capture information once a year, AGPP becomes the organization's always-on compliance partner, automating tasks, organizing evidence, updating standards, and maintaining readiness throughout the entire accreditation cycle. It provides the structure, stability, and visibility that traditional consulting can never match. With AGPP, every policy, Every document, every checklist, and every corrective action is centralized in one cloud-based platform. Teams no longer spend hours searching email threads or digging through department folders. Tasks are assigned clearly, deadlines are tracked automatically, and all actions are digitally logged, creating a real-time readiness report at any moment. If an auditor walked in today, the organization would be prepared. What truly sets AccrediSense apart is its ability to evolve with regulatory changes. When standards are updated, the platform updates automatically, ensuring no hospital or diagnostic center ever operates with outdated requirements. This alone eliminates one of the biggest risks in manual compliance: missing a new standard because the consultant's report is already outdated. AccrediSense also preserves institutional memory. Even if compliance officers, nursing leadership, or administrators change roles, the system retains all evidence, notes, and progress data. No more starting from scratch, no more rebuilding documentation, and no more dependency on one or two individuals who know where things are. Most importantly, AccrediSense gives leadership real-time visibility into risks, gaps, and progress. Executives get dashboards instead of PDFs, insights instead of assumptions, and continuous readiness instead of last-minute panic. The platform transforms compliance into a proactive, data-driven process, something manual consulting simply cannot deliver. From a cost perspective, the difference between manual consulting and AccrediSense is not just substantial, it's strategic. Traditional consulting is expensive, unpredictable, and provides diminishing returns. You pay a high fee for a short-term engagement, and once the report is delivered, the value drops to zero. Every new cycle requires new spending, new approvals, and new dependence on external consultants. AccrediSense changes the financial equation entirely. For a fraction of the cost of a consulting engagement, organizations receive an entire year of continuous automation, digital documentation, audit readiness tracking, and real-time updates. Instead of repositioning compliance as a high-cost project, AccrediSense converts it into a predictable operational expense. No more budget spikes, no more last-minute spending, and no more emergency consultant hiring. But the financial benefits go deeper. By reducing manual workload, eliminating the annual restart, preventing documentation errors, and minimizing audit risks, AccrediSense saves organizations thousands of labor hours and protects them from costly non-compliance penalties. Each avoided audit issue pays for the system many times over. And because the platform builds a permanent digital asset rather than temporary reports, the ROI grows stronger every year. The bottom line is simple. Consulting gives you a one-time document. AccrediSense gives you a permanent capability. Consulting charges more for short-term output. AccrediSense costs less and delivers continuous value. Consulting leaves you unprepared between visits. AccrediSense keeps you audit-ready 365 days a year. This is why healthcare executives immediately recognize AccrediSense as not just a better operational choice, but the smartest financial decision for long-term compliance success. Let's begin with one of the most common things we hear from healthcare organizations. We only budget for accreditation help right before the survey. On the surface, this sounds practical. For years, accreditation was treated like an event, something you prepared for, completed, and then set aside for the next cycle. And historically, that model was acceptable. Teams would scramble for a few months, pull documents together, update policies, fix issues, pass the survey, and breathe a sigh of relief. But this old approach has quietly turned into what we call the timing trap. Because the reality of healthcare accreditation has changed, standards have become more dynamic. Surveyors are emphasizing consistency over quick fixes. Unannounced surveys, surprise compliance checks, and ongoing risk assessments have become the new norm. And the timing trap is simple. By focusing energy and budget only before the survey, organizations expose themselves to risks during the other 11 months of the year, when compliance issues usually happen. Policies fall out of date, evidence gets misplaced, staff documentation lapses, risk areas go unnoticed. And none of this happens during the short pre-survey window. It happens during normal operations, quietly, throughout the year. So when leaders say they only plan for support right before the survey, we validate that it made sense in the past. But then we guide them toward understanding how much the landscape has shifted. That brings us to the critical shift, the move from event-based prep to continuous monitoring. Accreditation bodies today expect evidence of ongoing compliance, not temporary readiness. They want to see that your documentation is consistently updated, that your staff competencies are maintained, that safety issues are tracked and corrected, and that policies reflect current standards at all times. This is no longer about impressing surveyors once every few years. It's about demonstrating that you operate with excellence every single day. And this is where continuous monitoring becomes essential. Instead of scrambling before the survey, organizations spread the work evenly across the year. Instead of chasing documents at the last minute, they maintain them as part of their routine. Instead of hoping they're ready, they know they're ready, because their system gives them real-time visibility. AccrediSense is built to support exactly this mindset. It centralizes documentation, automates reminders, tracks updates, flags risks, and keeps teams prepared all year long. With continuous monitoring, accreditation becomes predictable, maintainable, and far less stressful. The pivot is not just about using a tool, it's about adopting a healthier, more sustainable way of managing compliance. Now let's talk about the second major objection. Our staff is too busy for new software. This one comes up everywhere, and honestly, it makes sense. Healthcare teams today are overloaded. Quality managers, compliance officers, infection control staff, everyone is juggling endless responsibilities. The idea of introducing a new system can feel overwhelming. But here's the interesting part. When someone says they're too busy for new software, it often means they're drowning in outdated processes. They're busy because they're relying on manual work, email chains, spreadsheets, binders, shared drives, scattered evidence folders, and constant back-and-forth communication. They're busy because they spend hours chasing documents, following up with staff, verifying information, and preparing reports. They're busy because the current system forces them to be. So the question isn't whether they have time for new software, it's whether they can afford to continue without something that reduces the burden. We gently help teams understand that their busyness is not a reason to delay. It's the exact reason they need a solution like AccrediSense. This brings us to the most important transformation: automation as a liberator. AccrediSense isn't another system that adds work. It's the system that eliminates the majority of the work. Automation handles the manual, repetitive tasks that take up so much staff time: tracking document expirations, sending reminders, collecting evidence, updating policies, managing audit checklists, preparing for survey requirements, identifying compliance gaps, generating reports. All the tasks that used to consume hours every week become quick, guided, or completely automatic. This frees up valuable staff time, time that can be redirected to high-value strategic work. Quality teams feel less overwhelmed. Compliance leaders feel more confident. Senior management gains visibility and assurance. Automation isn't replacing people, it's empowering them. It removes the stress, the clutter, and the chaos. It allows teams to work smarter, not harder. It liberates time, reduces risk, and creates a culture of proactive readiness. And when an organization experiences those benefits, the entire conversation changes. Suddenly, it's not about being too busy for a new system. It's about realizing they've been too busy for too long because they didn't have this system. One of the most common concerns we hear when we introduce AGPP is this: it sounds great, but it's too expensive. Or, we just don't have the budget for a tool like this. And that's a reasonable place to start. Healthcare organizations today are operating with tighter budgets than ever. Every department is asked to do more with less, and every dollar must be justified. So when leaders hear about a new platform, their instinct is to view it as another cost. But cost alone doesn't tell the whole story. When someone says it's too expensive, they're usually evaluating the price in isolation, without considering the broader context of risk, labor, inefficiency, and regulatory exposure. In healthcare, budget sensitivity is real, but so is the financial danger of operating without the right systems in place. And that's why this objection is not a conversation stopper. It's a conversation starter. To fully address the objection, you have to shift the conversation from price to cost of inaction. The real financial risk isn't the investment in a tool. The real risk is what happens without it. Consider the implications of a lost accreditation status, even temporarily. The revenue disruption alone can be devastating. Add to that the cost of emergency consultants, corrective action plans, resurvey fees, staff overtime, and workflow outages, and suddenly the price of a modern solution feels tiny in comparison. Even smaller compliance gaps, like missing evidence, outdated policies, expired staff files, or inconsistent documentation, can trigger citations that carry financial penalties or force the organization into costly follow-up cycles. But beyond fines, there's the invisible cost. The hundreds of hours your teams spend every month chasing documents, updating spreadsheets, sending reminders, preparing reports, and trying to manually maintain readiness. AGPP converts all of that into automated, centralized, low-effort workflows. Organizations that use it often recover the cost just through operational time saved, and the risk protection they gain ensures long-term financial stability. So when someone says, "We can't afford it," the deeper truth is usually the opposite. They can't afford to not have it. When you compare the investment against the risk, the savings, the prevented penalties, and the regained staff time, the ROI becomes crystal clear. The cost of inaction is far greater than the cost of implementation. Now let's move to the fourth major concern, which is often more emotional than financial. Your AI sounds impressive, but can it really handle our organization's unique policies? This is a valid concern. Every facility has its own workflows, its own documentation style, its own operational culture, and its own accreditation history. Policies are not generic checklists. They are complex, contextual documents that reflect the reality of how care is delivered. So when leaders worry that AI might produce generic, textbook-style policies, the concern comes from experience. Many tools in the market simply give templated content that misses the nuance of a real facility. This is why we explain the context clearly. AGPP doesn't force generic policies onto your organization. It works the other way around. It learns from you. The AI reads your existing policies, past surveys, evidence files, procedures, and operational language. It understands how your organization is structured. It uses your context as the baseline, not someone else's. This ensures that everything the system generates isn't generic. It's personalized, relevant, and aligned with the way your facility already functions. This brings us to one of the strongest features of AGPP, the AI Policy Architect. The Policy Architect is not a template generator. It is an intelligent, adaptive system that merges industry best practices, accreditation standards, regulatory requirements, and your facility's existing documentation. It analyzes your current policies to understand your formatting style, your tone of writing, your workflow details, and your specific compliance commitments. Then it produces updated drafts that match your voice, your culture, and your operational reality. Think of it as having a highly trained accreditation expert who has spent months studying your documents and can now rewrite and update them instantly. This solves a painful problem that nearly every organization faces. Policies are often outdated simply because updating them manually is exhausting, time-consuming, and rarely prioritized. Staff don't have the luxury to rewrite lengthy documents line by line. The AI Policy Architect eliminates that burden. It does the heavy lifting, restructuring, rewriting, aligning, updating, and modernizing your policies, while your team remains firmly in control, reviewing and refining the final drafts. And the more you use it, the better it becomes. It learns from your approvals, your edits, and your preferences. It becomes increasingly accurate and increasingly aligned with the DNA of your organization. So when someone asks, "Can your AI handle our unique policies?" the answer isn't just yes. The answer is, it doesn't just handle your policies, it adapts to them, improves them, and helps you maintain them effortlessly. When delivering the demo, the key is to make it fast, sharp, and highly impactful. We don't try to show everything. Instead, we focus only on the client's top 3 compliance pain points, the issues that matter most to them and the ones they feel every single day. And the moment the demo starts, we lead with the gap analyzer. This instantly identifies their problem areas in real time and immediately proves the value of the platform within seconds. It's powerful because the client can see their gaps right in front of them without any long explanations. Once the gaps are exposed and the pain is clearly visible, we move straight to the solution. We end with the action plan, clear steps, automatically generated, showing exactly what needs to be fixed, who needs to do it, and when it must be done. This combination of instant diagnosis and immediate corrective direction is what makes the demo unforgettable. It shows the problem, it shows the path forward, and it does it all in a simple, fast, and highly relevant way. Selling is ultimately about confidence and clarity. When you speak with conviction and explain solutions in a straightforward, grounded way, clients feel it immediately. And the truth is, every objection a client raises isn't a barrier. It's an opening. It's an opportunity to show where AGPP stands apart in the market. Instead of pushing back, we lean in. We acknowledge their concern, we validate their experience, and then we use that moment to highlight the exact competitive advantage that AGPP delivers. Whether it's our automated workflows, our AI-powered policy engine, our continuous monitoring approach, or our real-time gap analyzer, every challenge becomes a chance to demonstrate unmatched value. When you stay calm, clear, and confident, objections transform into proof points, and clients walk away feeling like AGPP isn't just another tool, but the only solution that truly understands and solves their problems. AGPP, simplifying accreditation, amplifying safety,